Before we begin, take a second and subscribe to this channel, because this story isn't just about getting fired. And it's about legacy, patience, and what happens when someone underestimates the wrong man. Now listen carefully. My name is Marcus Thompson, and I'm 52 years old, and until Monday morning, I thought I'd retire from the same company I helped build. I was wrong. Monday, 11 a.m. The coffee was still warm when I found the termination notice sitting on my desk. No meeting. No warning. No courtesy call. Just expensive company letterhead, with my name typed across the middle, like a death certificate. Effective immediately. HR downstairs. 5 words. 27 years, gone. I didn't need to ask who did it. Brady Lawson. 28 years old. Vice President of Strategic Development. And the CEO's son. He must have dropped the letter on my desk while I was grabbing my second cup of coffee from the break room. That's the kind of courage money gives people. I stood there for a moment, just staring at the paper. I'd given Thunder Automotive Solutions most of my adult life. Missed birthdays. Missed holidays. Missed dinners that never came back. All for one thing: AutoSecure. The system that kept people safe on the road. The system that made this company valuable. My life's work. My legacy. What Brady Lawson didn't know, when he walked into my office at exactly 11 a.m., was that he just lit a fuse. A fuse that would explode in 96 hours, and take his $420 million Stellantis merger with it. I checked my watch. Friday, 11 a.m. That's when my $180,000 performance bonus was scheduled to hit my account. Brady thought he was being smart. MBA smart. Fire the old guy before payday. Save the company money. Prove to Daddy and the board that he could make tough decisions. What his Wharton education never taught him was how to read the fine print written by men who survived Detroit's automotive wars. Because that bonus wasn't just money. It was a trigger point. 15 years earlier, Frank Rodriguez wrote a clause into my contract. Frank wasn't just Thunder's founder. He was the closest thing I'd had to a father since my own died. Former UAW Local 600. The kind of man who fought plant managers over safety violations, and won. Frank believed in protecting the work and the people who did it. So he built insurance. Quietly. Legally. Relentlessly. The clause was simple. Once my annual bonus was paid, full legal ownership of the AutoSecure system would transfer to me. Not symbolic. Not honorary. Everything. Code. Patents. Licensing rights. Filed with the state. Locked in escrow. Waiting for one electronic payment. Without AutoSecure, Thunder Automotive had nothing to offer Stellantis except empty promises and PowerPoint slides. I signed the termination paperwork without saying a word. My hands were steady. I'd been expecting this moment ever since Richard Lawson brought his son into the company. The kid had been gunning for me since day one. On my way out, I'd passed Brady's corner office. Glass walls. Standing desk. Confident spot, not earned. He was on the phone, gesturing like a man who thought he just won something. Probably telling his father how brilliant his cost-cutting move was. I left a small black USB drive on my desk. Let him see it. Let him wonder. That drive had been empty for 5 years. Every real backup, every line of critical code, was locked behind biometric encryption that only recognized my thumbprint and my eyes. I walked through Thunder's lobby for the last time, past the industry awards. Past framed photos of Frank with 3 generations of Detroit auto executives. Past the receptionist who'd said "good morning" to me for 8 years. She looked confused when I nodded goodbye. Outside, the February cold hit hard. I climbed into my F-150 and sat there, engine running, watching people walk in and out of the building where I'd spent more waking hours than in my own home. Detroit was gray that day. The kind of gray that presses down on everything. In 96 hours, everything would change. I drove home through streets I'd traveled for 27 years. Past the Coney Island Frank and I loved. Past auto parts stores and repair shops. These were my people. The ones who understood what it meant to build something right. When I walked into the house, Linda was at the kitchen table, grading geometry tests. She took one look at my face. "Let me guess," she said quietly. "Brady?" I handed her the letter. She read it twice. Her jaw tightened. "That little—" She stopped herself and glanced toward the living room where our granddaughter Emma was watching cartoons. Linda had earned the right to be angry. 26 years of marriage. Watching me work 16-hour days. Holding the family together while I fought crisis after crisis. She looked at me again. "How much?" $180,000. She exhaled slowly. "That was Emma's college fund." Then she studied my face, carefully. After all these years, she knew that look. "There's something else," she said. "That chess look. You're already 3 moves ahead." I poured myself a cup of coffee, added cream, and stared out the window. At the snow-covered bird feeder. At the Cardinals. And finally, I said the words that changed everything. "Remember Frank's retirement party?" Linda set the red pen down on the table, slowly. When she spoke again, her voice wasn't angry. It was focused. "Marcus," she said, "tell me exactly what kind of clause you're talking about." I sat back in the chair across from her. "The kind," I said, "that transfers full ownership of AutoSecure to me the moment my bonus clears." She blinked once. "Say that again." "Friday morning? 11 a.m. When the $180,000 hits my account, AutoSecure stops belonging to Thunder Automotive." She stared at me. "And starts belonging to me." The kitchen went quiet. From the living room, Emma laughed at something on TV. The sound felt distant, like it belonged to another world. Linda leaned back in her chair, processing. "Marcus," she said carefully, "that system is the backbone of the Stellantis deal." "I know. That merger doesn't exist without it." "I know." She ran a hand through her hair. "That's Frank's entire legacy." I nodded. "And he knew exactly what he was doing." 15 years earlier, Frank Rodriguez and I sat in a vinyl booth at Buddy's Pizza on 8 Mile. It was 2009. Right after the bailout. The auto industry was on life support, and nobody knew who'd still be standing a year later. Frank looked tired that night. Older than his 58 years. Between bites of Detroit-style pizza, he said something I never forgot. "Marcus, I've watched good companies get gutted by people who don't understand what makes them valuable. They think everything is numbers." He shook his head. "When I'm gone, I don't want this work destroyed by some MBA who thinks spreadsheets are the whole story." That's when he told me about the clause. Insurance, he called it. A fail-safe. Back in the kitchen, Linda folded her arms. "So this thing's been sitting there all this time?" she asked. "Waiting? Waiting for the right mistake." She let out a slow breath. "And Brady just made it." I went upstairs to my home office and powered on my workstation. The familiar hum of the servers filled the room. It sounded like a heartbeat. On the main screen, I opened a countdown timer. Friday. 11:00 a.m. Red numbers appeared. 95 hours. I stared at it for a moment, then got to work. The first protocol was simple. An automated email. If AutoSecure licensing wasn't renewed by Friday morning, the system would notify 3 people at Stellantis: their lead counsel, their North American CEO, their CTO, professional, polite, unavoidable. It referenced one thing. Section 12. The clause listing essential personnel. My name was first. The second protocol was quieter. Anonymous tips to automotive journalists. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to start questions. I leaned back in my chair and watched the timer tick down. My phone buzzed. Alex Rodriguez, one of our senior engineers. "Sharp kid. Good instincts. Mr. Thompson," he said. "I heard what happened. This isn't right." "What's going on over there?" I asked. "Brady's panicking," Alex said. "He's trying to access your secure directories." "Did he get in?" "Not even close." That told me everything. Brady knew Thunder's value lived inside AutoSecure. And he knew he didn't control it. "Listen, Alex," I said. Whatever happens next, you're going to be fine. Keep your options open. There was a pause on the line. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I'm saying pay attention. The next morning, my inbox was full. Reporters, industry people. Then the call came. Catherine Walsh, lead counsel for Stellantis North America. Mr. Thompson, she said, we have some concerns about Thunder Automotive's compliance with Section 12. I understand. Our records list you as essential personnel. But we're being told you're no longer with the company. That's correct. There was a brief silence. That creates complications, she said. Yes, I replied. It does. When the call ended, I checked the countdown again. 74 hours, and for the first time since Monday, I realized something important. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about control. And time was finally on my side. By Wednesday morning, the story was no longer mine. It belonged to the market. Thunder Automotive stock opened down 15%. By noon, it had dropped another 8. Financial media started circling. CNBC ran a segment called Merger Monday Blues, and Thunder's name was mentioned more than once, always paired with the same phrase: personnel uncertainty. That phrase followed me all day. I sat in my home office listening to WGR Talk Radio, something I hadn't done in years. Normally, I would have been on my third conference call by now. Instead, I watched the countdown timer. 46 hours. My phone rang. Alex Rodriguez. Mr. Thompson, he said, Brady offered me your job. I sat up straighter. Chief Technology Officer. Alex continued. 220,000 salary. I let that sink in. Congratulations, I said. I turned it down. That surprised me. Why? Because he couldn't answer basic questions about AutoSecure, Alex said. He kept saying we'd figure it out later. Later was corporate code for never. That's not leadership, Alex said. That's gambling with something he doesn't understand. I felt something loosen in my chest. You made the right call, I told him. After the call, an email came through from Thomas Mitchell, CEO of Stellantis North America. Short. Direct. He wanted to talk, not about Thunder. About AutoSecure. That distinction mattered. Before I could respond, another message landed. This one from Gerald Pierce, Thunder board member. One of the last men still loyal to Frank's vision. Conference call. 2 p.m. Richard will be there. I already knew how that call would go. The board sounded exhausted. Richard Lawson spoke first. Marcus, I want to apologize. Brady acted without proper oversight. I appreciate that, I said. But apologies don't change contracts. Gerald didn't waste time. Stellantis is using the words material breach, he said. They want documentation we can't locate. The documentation is locked, I replied. When my access was terminated, the system responded accordingly. There was a pause. Can you unlock it? Richard asked. Yes. Another pause. But only as an employee, I added. Or after Friday as the owner. That landed hard. Silence stretched. Then Gerald spoke again. Frank protected this company from exactly this scenario, didn't he? Yes, I said. He did. After the call, Linda found me staring at the timer. Your chest again? She asked. A little, I admitted. She sat across from me. You've spent decades saving everyone else's emergencies, she said. But you don't get extra years for that. She wasn't wrong. Stress had a way of collecting interest. When this ends, she said, I want you done. Not half done. Done. I nodded. Deal. Wednesday afternoon, Thunder stock slid again. Another 6%. Brady was running out of runway. That evening, my phone buzzed. Another call from Alex. They're scrambling, he said. Consultants, outside vendors, even competitors. They won't find a replacement, I said. AutoSecure isn't software. It's architecture. I know, Alex said. And so do the engineers. That mattered. Because cultures collapse before companies do. Thursday morning came with frost on the windows and urgency in the air. Gerald called before sunrise. "Brady's been suspended," he said. "The board met until 2 a.m. And Richard? He's struggling." I felt no victory in that. Only wait. "What are you proposing?" I asked. "Come back as a consultant," Gerald said. "Help us survive the transition. And after Friday?" A pause. "You'll own AutoSecure." "Yes. But ownership doesn't mean we can't license it back." "On your terms," Gerald said. "Correct." That afternoon, Linda and I watched Emma build a snow fort in the backyard. Her laughter cut through everything. "This isn't just about you anymore," Linda said quietly. "I know. There are a lot of people hanging in the balance." I nodded. "That's why I have to finish this the right way." That evening, Thomas Mitchell called again. This time, the number wasn't blocked. "Mr. Thompson," he said, "Stellantis would like to offer you a direct consulting agreement." He named the number $0.8 million. Over 3 years. I didn't speak right away. "That includes building your own team," he added. That changed everything. "I'll talk Friday," I said. "After 11. When the call ended, I looked at the countdown. 28 hours. For most of my career, time controlled me. Deadlines. Emergencies. Other people's mistakes. Now, for once, time was working for me. Friday morning arrived quietly. No alarms. No emergency calls. Just cold February light filtering through the windows and the smell of coffee filling the kitchen. For the first time in 27 years, I wasn't rushing anywhere. I checked the countdown timer. 1 hour. Linda sat across from me, hands wrapped around her mug. "You ready?" she asked. "As ready as I'll ever be." She studied my face the way she always had, checking for stress, for tension, for signs I was carrying too much. "When this is over," she said, "I don't want to hear about another crisis." I smiled. "Deal." At 10 o'clock, I walked back into Thunder Automotive for the first time since Monday. Visitor badge clipped to my jacket. The lobby felt different, quieter. The receptionist looked nervous when she saw me. "Conference room A," she said softly. They were all waiting. Gerald Pierce, Richard Lawson, 3 board members, and Thomas Mitchell from Stellantis. Richard stood when I entered. He looked older than he had a week ago. "Marcus," he said, "I owe you an apology." "I know," I said. "But let's focus on solutions." Thomas Mitchell didn't waste time. "We need to know the current status of AutoSecure licensing," he said. "Immediately." I opened my laptop. The secure partition came up. My watch read 10:58 a.m. 2 minutes. "Before I do anything," I said, "I have conditions." Gerald nodded. "Name them." "Alex Rodriguez becomes Chief Technology Officer, effective immediately." Richard didn't hesitate. "Done." "Second, Thunder creates a mentorship program. No more critical systems depending on a single person." "Agreed," Gerald said. "Third," I continued, "I'll consult for 6 months during the Stellantis integration. After that, I'm retired." Thomas Mitchell smiled slightly. "That works for us." My phone buzzed. 11 a.m. bank notification. $180,000 deposited. The screen changed. Transfer complete. For about 30 seconds, AutoSecure belonged to me. 27 years of work. I in my hands. I didn't hesitate. I authenticated the transfer. Thunder Automotive regained full licensing rights. The room exhaled as one. The merger was back on. "I've also accepted Stellantis' consulting offer for future development," I added. "Thunder will manage current deployments. My team will build what comes next." Nobody argued. They couldn't. By evening, it was done. Brady Lawson was officially terminated. The stock stabilized. Employees kept their jobs. And Frank's work lived on. That night, Linda and I sat on the back porch with 2 beers, watching the sun drop behind Detroit's skyline. Emma laughed inside, FaceTiming her parents about the snow fort she'd built. "How does it feel?" Linda asked. I thought about it. I expected to feel victorious, I said. But mostly I feel relieved. Good relieved? Yeah, I said. Like I finally set something down. My phone buzzed once. A text from Alex. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. I smiled and put the phone away. He didn't need my approval anymore. He'd earned his place. For the first time in decades, there was no countdown in my head. No crisis waiting. Just time. Time to teach Emma how to fish. Time to sit by a lake in Wisconsin. Time to wake up without checking email. Some things, I realized, matter more than any merger, more than any system, more than any career. Some things are worth coming home to.